And the top story coming from India, where India has been placed at 40th spot in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitive Index 2017 and 18. India is ranked 40th among 137 economies on the Global Competitiveness Index. Switzerland, US and Singapore continue to be the world's top 3 competitive economies, while China is 27th and Russia is 28th. They outshine India among the BRICS group of large emerging markets. The World Economic Forum report highlights that India, which remains the top-ranked economy in South Asia, has significantly improved in infrastructure, higher education and labour market efficiency. Now, among the emerging markets seen as having great potential in the early 2000s, Brazil and Turkey have now lost much of ground they gained before 2013. India and Indonesia continue to improve though. And India has improved on competitiveness in rankings, and India has ranked 14th in Global Competitiveness Index. Switzerland, US and Singapore, they are the world's top economies that have been ranked higher in competitiveness, and India is third among BRICS nations and these countries on this particular index. Staying with India news, where the first Mobile Congress of India has kicked off in capital New Delhi. The first day of Congress saw Indian telecom industry rivals Bharti Airtel chairman Sunil Bharti Mittal and Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani coming together and sharing the stage. Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani, who has made entry into telecom sector last year with Jio, said the data is the new oil and India does not need to import it. He also said India will rank among 3 top economies. Mittal said Bharti Airtel will invest around $33 million this year in mobile infrastructure, adding that the industry overall will be injecting $90 million to build digital infrastructure.
As a nation, we missed out on the first 3 industrial revolutions, namely mechanization, mass production, and automation. The 4th industrial revolution, which is fueled by connectivity, data, and artificial intelligence, has begun. India now has the opportunity to lead the 4th industrial revolution, which is set to usher in more dramatic transformations globally than the 3 previous revolutions in the next 20 years.
We are on the cusp of some very exciting developments in this industry. I would have never imagined just even 5, 7, 8 years back that the shift in technology, the pace in technology will be such that we will be now conjuring images of a very new world that we are all going to live in. The early trailers that are being seen around AI, backed by cloud computing, AR, VR, putting at our doorstep products like robotic surgeries, AI-backed bots in the banks, in the law firms, autonomous cars, managing very complicated nuclear power stations to manufacturing machines, and all are being led by this new innovative wave of digital technology.
And let's take a stock of Rupee that has been plunging from the last many days. Rupee resumed higher at 65.35 against yesterday's closing level of 65.45 against dollar at the interbank foreign exchange market, but slipped to 65.60 before hitting 65.51. The foreign portfolio investors, they withdrew over 2,000 crore rupees on net basis from stock markets yesterday as per provisional exchange data. Overseas, the US dollar traded higher against a basket of currencies, which was underpinned by remarks from Federal Reserve Chief on the need to continue with rate hikes. And social media giant Twitter has said it's testing a feature to let some users double the amount of characters allowed in a tweet. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey last year made a definitive announcement about company's famous 140 character count amid rumors that firm would substantially relax the limit. The 280 character limit will only be available to a small group of people on the site. Twitter said it would be a single-digit percentage of its 328 million users. And in a recent attempt to grab control of internet, Russia's internet watchdog has threatened to block access to Facebook if company refuses to store its data locally on Russian servers. The chief of Russia's Federal Communication Agency said they will work to make Facebook comply with the law on personal data. The controversial law passed in 2014 obliges foreign messaging services, search engines and social networking sites to store the personal data of Russian users inside Russia. The law was fiercely opposed by the telecom industry. Russian internet providers had last year blocked LinkedIn after agency said it broke the law on personal storage. The law, which was approved by President Vladimir Putin in 2014 and came into force in September 2015, could also threaten other foreign internet companies operating in Russia. The internet regulator head Alexander Zarov said they will either get the law implemented or company will cease to work on territory of Russian Federation at all, as unfortunately happened to LinkedIn. Microblocking website Twitter has already informed agency that it will comply with security standards by mid next year. The agency is presently not considering Facebook to be a unique service and that there are other social media as well. Reports also stated that Kremlin spokesperson said that Facebook is a commercial enterprise earning money on Russian soil and it must comply with the Russian laws. And the decision for London's Transport Authority, Transport for London or TfL, to cancel Uber's license has shocked the capital, with some questioning the reasons behind the decision. WION's Mandy Clark has the story. Take a look.
Black cabs might be the iconic image of London, but they're often 3 times the cost of an Uber car, which is why the taxi hailing app is the cab of choice for 3.5 million Londoners. Uber also provides work for 40,000 drivers, including Ali Banaras.
For you personally, how much is Uber kind of your main wage?
I do it full time, so yeah, definitely.
Banaras believes London Mayor Sadiq Khan was behind the decision.
The mayor constantly on, like these sort of radios and everything, and they were, all against Uber, the private hire drivers. And you had everyone for black cabs.
And some newspapers point out a more serious undertone to the decision: racism. Tony Travers with the London School of Economics agrees it could be a factor.
Well, I doubt the Mayor of London, who is himself of South Asian origin, was unaware of the fact that Uber drivers tend, they're not exclusively, to be South Asian. And traditional taxi drivers in London tend, they're not exclusively, to be white British. Now, some newspapers have argued there's an equalities issue here, which there may be.
Transport for London has come under increasing criticism for cancelling the Uber license, and many believe it bowed to pressure from the black cab lobby group.
There's now a petition to keep Uber in London and a call to boycott black cabs. And there's a greater worry that it gives the message that London is not open for business.
More generally, there is a question about the image it sends out, about London as a place for disruptive new technology. Would it sort of put off entrepreneurs, thinking if it's too disruptive, won't we be allowed to operate?
But Banaras believes Uber will get their license back.
They'll get it back. I think they just wanted Uber on the table, really, and sort a few things out.
Uber is appealing the decision, and that process can take years, with many believing they will win. Mandy Clark, WION, London.
And shares of Tesla witnessed a correction yesterday after billionaire British inventor announced plans for his own electric vehicles. This took the shine off an analyst prediction that Tesla's cars would be commonplace within 2 years. Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jones estimated in a note that nearly 300,000 Tesla vehicles would be on the road by end of current year, underscoring growing competition. However, James Dyson, inventor of Bagels vacuum cleaner, said at a London event that his company was building an electric car that will launch by 2020. Dyson said his company would spend $2.7 billion on solid-state battery technology and vehicle design, and that a 400-member team of engineers had already spent 2.5 years working on the secret project. Also, yesterday, Chief Commercial Officer at global miner BHP warned that growth in electric car production would put pressure on limited global copper supplies. So Tesla's stock is losing steam slowly and slowly. Competition is growing for electric car maker that is considered as the premium car maker. The shares of Tesla witnessed a correction yesterday. If you talk about total, it has come down by 18% so far. A billionaire British inventor has announced plans for electric vehicles. And Tesla shares were down 10% from a record high on September 18. In July, Tesla lost 18% over 9 trading sessions. And let's talk about some other stories that is coming from, we can say that ride-hailing company Uber that will stop operating in Canadian province of Quebec next month, pulling out to avoid following tough new regulations announced last week. Uber is withdrawing from Canada's second most populous province as it also battles a decision to strip the company of its license to operate in London. The latest in a series of regulatory attacks on Uber as new CEO seeks to rebuild the company's image. Uber employs more than 50 of its workers in province where more than 10,000 drivers have worked for the company. Company left room to reverse its decision, calling on government to reconsider regulations announced on Friday that tightened up the rules of a pilot project that had left Uber operate since October last year. Quebec's new rules require drivers to undergo 35 hours of training and to have their criminal background checks validated by Quebec police instead of third parties. During the pilot, Uber's drivers were ticketed for not identifying their vehicles, driving cars that were too old, and accepting rides hailed off the street. While some were also found to have criminal records, taxi operators have opposed Uber's presence in Quebec, sometimes blocking traffic during protests in Montreal too. So Uber is now coming under pressure in Canadian province of Quebec. First, it was under pressure in London, and Uber is pulling out from Quebec to avoid tough new regulations. And the new rules seek 35 hours of training for drivers. As far as Uber is concerned, police though will validate drivers' criminal background checks. And Uber drivers were ticketed for not identifying vehicles. Drivers were driving cars that were too old. And Quebec taxi operators have opposed Uber's presence also. And let's go back to global aviation space where Qatar Airways CEO Akbar Al-Bakr has set career plans to expand its fleet, stepping up orders for Boeing aircraft and accepting 4 Airbus aircraft that it had cancelled in July because of delays due to supplier problems. Al-Bakr, who spoke at an event in which he formally accepted delivery of Qatar Airways' first Boeing 747-8 freighter, disclosed plans to acquire 4 777-300 aircraft. And Qatar Air chief CEO, he wants to expand fleet, and Gulf Airlines is looking for US investments also. Qatar Air will order all 60 of Boeing 737 aircraft. The airline has confirmed an order for 20 Boeing 737 jets as well, and Qatar Air has pressed efforts to expand despite US trade dispute. And China over there is regulating its property control measures, and now a number of second-tier cities in China have rolled out property speculation curbs in an effort to cool home property sales. City of Shenyang, southwest of Beijing, has banned investors from selling newly bought homes for up to 5 years. So more and more Chinese cities are imposing measures as far as property control is concerned. That is one cause of concern for China and its government. An Indian IT industry body, NESCOM, is expecting $150 billion IT industry to deliver a strong performance next fiscal on revival in tech spends of the financial sector and demand growth from the US clients. NESCOM also expects a revival of financial sector investments into technology and a greater hardening of demand in the US. there is also a lot of re-strategizing by the Indian companies as well. NASSCOM chairman has said companies are focusing on reskilling employees on new digital technologies to drive growth. NASSCOM is also confident IT industry would be able to meet this year's growth targets, outlining industry's annual guidance in June this year. NASSCOM had said the Indian IT export would grow by 7 to 8% this fiscal, same as the previous year.
We have no formal chain of command.
An Indian IT body, NASSCOM, is optimistic about the future. Green shoots are emerging and demand is going to take an uptick in the next 1 to 2 years. The tech spend revival and US demand, there are also two growth factors. IT firms are focusing on reskilling employees, and IT industry will meet current year's growth targets. That's what NASSCOM, the IT industry body, is also saying. Stricter work visa regulations could impact IT sector going forward, NASSCOM said.